Good afternoon, everybody. Wacky Wednesday here on EC Radio. You can follow along live on all Disruption Network social media platforms. We're live on YouTube. We're live on the book. That's Faccia Book for all you Italian-speaking sons of bitches out there. And we're also live on YouTube. So follow us along on all our social media platforms. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to EJA Moving Services, the professional movers. When you're ready to move and relocate, hit up Eddie and his staff at 315-335-0516, EJAmoving.com. They give you boxes. They pack up the boxes. They bring those boxes wherever you need to bring them. Wherever they need to go, EJA will bring them for you. Let them do all the work for you. Shout out to Joey's at 307 Mohawk Street. If you want a good meal this week, 315-864-3527. They're doing some Thanksgiving meals too, so hit them up, get a reservation, follow them online at 315eats.com. Thank you to Utica Coffee. We're drinking the Utica Buzz today, Joe, so I'm going to get a little ramble mouth today.
That would never happen with us here.
No, never. WakeTheHellUp.com. You can find them online. Thank you to my attorney, Dave Longaretta, for keeping me out of trouble since the 90s. 315-735-6162 if you need some legal advice. Thank you to Saranac Brewery. Also, shout out to Billy the Liquor Guy.
Love him.
Is that your dude now?
I fucking love that guy.
Yeah. Billy the Liquor Guy. He's got a book out there called Under Too Long. It's a book about undercover agents popping the big guys, the bad guys, if you will. And he infiltrated biker gangs, Al-Qaeda, untaxed cigarettes, untaxed liquor. I mean, the stories are absolutely crazy. If you want an interesting, action-packed book, check out Under Too Long by Billy the Liquor Guy. You can find it on Amazon or wherever you get your books. And shout out to Ballsy, ballwash.com. Use promo code members only and get yourself a 15% discount. Get yourself some nut rub, Joe.
Thank you.
If anybody can use some nut rub around here.
Yes, it is true.
I think it would be you.
So.
How are you?
Good.
Genesee Joe hanging with me today. I love it, man. Thank you so much for. So, are you live? Well, you're not live, but are you on air right now? Because this is normally your time slot.
It's like you're telepathic. Because, unlike we say we dare to be different. I said, I'm going to be different. I'm going to tell you the truth. Yeah. A radio guy's going to tell you the honest truth. And I said, whether it's voodoo or technological magic, for the next hour or so, I will be on the Disruption Network. So you can tune in on disruptionnetwork.net, or you can find them on Facebook. All the platforms, I will be there too. Now, you can decide if it's technical wizardry or voodoo.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
You've been in radio for so long. Was it easy for you to adapt to technology? Because it moves so fast in radio. Did it or did it not?
Yes. When I first started, bro, there was still a few songs that had not yet even been released on CD, so we still had an album or two. Everything else was on CD players and single deck CDs. And then there was, cart machines. They look like an 8-track for anyone who doesn't know, and it stopped and started in the same place. And that's where all the commercials were and stuff like that. And then there were some weird changes with, fancier CD players that never worked right.
Remember the mini discs?
The mini discs came in.
We used that at the other place.
Yeah, and then there was, there was reel-to-reel when I first started for a very long time.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden, when they brought the computer in, everything was gone except for that computer. Everything was online, in the system. And that's okay. I thought that was all right. But, of course, corporate radio misused it. And there you go.
Was it hard to learn, or was it easy for you to pick up on?
No, they make it simple for dumb people who stayed in radio.
Gotcha.
There's no two ways about that.
It's Joe-friendly.
They knew who they were dealing with. All of us. You know what, though? The changes went quick, because I remember our first digital editing thing for doing commercials was this little box with 4 channels and a teeny screen. And then all of a sudden, it was just like Cool Edit Pro, and then it became Pro Tools. And now all of a sudden, you were right on your desktop.
Yeah.
And you had all the, and we still use an old program. A lot of stations use Cool Edit Pro because it's all you need to do commercials.
You use that on your Commodore 64, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I got one of those wooden apples to drive. man.
No, it's good to see you, though, man.
I know.
I was wondering about that with technology and stuff because sometimes it's hard to pick up on it.
Yep.
You know, and then explain to the kids at home the editing process back in the day when it comes to using the reel-to-reel.
Yeah. Oh God. So you would
Because it was a pain in the ass, dude.
It was,
Yeah.
and you know remember Peter Hirsch?
Of course.
Hirsch could edit on the fly faster than anyone I ever saw. The process was though. You know, you're recording and the guy says, "Hey, man, that's great. Oh, shit, I don't believe I won." Blah, blah, blah. You got to stop the tape, put a little white grease pencil mark at the beginning of the word, let's say shit, and then at the end, or whatever, you know, 2 sentences that didn't need to be there. You got to mark both sides, put the tape through a little metal block with 45-degree angle slits in it, cut it with a razor blade, and use this special tape to tape the outside of the recording tape and then string it back up quick and play the thing.
Slice it and dice it.
Slice it and dice it. Hirsch used to be able to mark both sides with his fingers, chop it quick, and tape it, and somehow it never sounded crazy. I never saw anybody do that. Huh. It's like a guy who can roll a joint with one hand.
Yeah.
That was Hirsch's version of, he was crazy with that. But those were morning show guys at the time.
He was the Willie Nelson of editing.
He was. Yes, he was. But,
yeah, it was a process.
Yeah. And you know, I don't mind the whole electronic thing. Mm-hmm. It's so easy now. You click 2 spots, you highlight it, you take it out, it's done.
Delete.
It's real neat.
Yeah.
You know, you can. There's no. If you get something and the audio levels are too low, you can bump them up like crazy, and it doesn't sound really bad until you go way too far. You know, with tape, if you tried to re-record it, you start losing them right away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then of course there would always be somebody who didn't really know how to wire up the tape machines, and so they'd start playing it, and it would just go shooting off into the room and stuff. Yeah, God,
that was a prank you pull on the interns.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But it's changed so much and so fast.
It did. The changes in the broadcast industry were like not even yearly. Mm-hmm. There was, you know, it was brand new in the morning and it was obsolete at night. It really was.
Yeah.
When not the Woodstock documentary that came out, but this other one, Woodstock '99, she wanted some stuff, and I found not only a mini disc player, but a mini disc that probably hadn't been touched or turned on in 20 years. Popped right on, and everything worked. I moved it all I recorded it into the computer, sent her all the files.
You have a mini disc player.
I got a working mini disc player if you ever need one.
I do.
I'll lend it to you.
I still have all my OUR files from back in the day when.
Dude, there were Love It or Shove It's on there.
Yeah.
There was interviews. There was stuff in the middle of the night that I had because I had my stuff on my little disc. Uh-huh. So when you want it, let me know. I'll bring it by.
Did you have a good laugh listening?
Oh, my God, yeah. I thought I sounded terrible.
Right.
I thought sounded terrible and was saying dumb stuff.
No, sounding terrible. Did you have the higher pitch or something?
I thought I
just
did.
Didn't know your inflection?
I thought I was like this. I was like, ha, ha, ha. And people go, you got a good voice for radio. I listen now. It's like I was an 8th grade girl on helium and crack. You know what's funny, though? Because me and you, like, we both started in the 90s. And even though I swore up and down I wasn't trying to be sensational or shock jockey, the questions I would ask, especially women callers in the middle of the night, and they would be, like, right with it. You know, there was or some guy who would always be, it was all about, are you getting laid? Are you getting, you know, blown?
Right. Because it's late night.
Are you not wearing clothes?
Especially in the overnight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the overnight.
And everybody went along with it. Bunch of horny people up late at night around here, especially, you know, on the weekends when they were wasted.
Right.
Yep.
A lot of good times, though.
A lot of good times.
Interesting conversations. And you know what? Those freaks that were out at night made the night go by quicker for you.
They did. There was Vinny. There was Johnny.
Vinny. Oh, my God. Vinny was the lunatic, right? Talk about the...
that guy thought that TV shows were talking to him.
Yes, yeah, he was the kook.
He disappeared, that kid.
Did he?
Yeah. Then there was Johnny Bagnoni, who was a good kid. He used to just call up. He would just call up and talk, and we would throw him packages of the Paul DeLima coffee out the window. Sometimes he would stop by, I need coffee, so we'd send it down to him. Remember the guy, the poet, that used to call up?
I do remember the poet.
Man.
I do remember the poet.
God, he would just, and he'd be in the middle of it. And his stuff wasn't bad, but he'd call 40 times a night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of kooks calling it late night on the radio.
Yep.
But again, it made the night go by fast.
It did.
And it gave you some interesting stories that we're talking about still to this day, 25 years later.
There was a lady that used to call up, the girl from small town up north, you know, up here, little south of here. and they'd always like be hammered and get more hammered. If they didn't play, you didn't play their song, Skinnered. They'd call back and call back and call back. And one night I was giving them shit because I didn't want to hear it, you know, and trying to be funny. And she says, "We know where you are. We're going to come down there and kick your ass." And I said, "Oh, really? Where am I?" And they gave a radio station Syracuse address. And I said, "Okay, bitch, I'll see you in the parking lot in an hour. Come down here." So I don't know whatever happened, but as long as they didn't know it was the Mayro building, fuck them. Well, there's 50 cents to the charity of our choice. Anyway.
Yeah, radio. So you're here talking about Slug today, though. You guys are coming back. Slug is back.
We are back.
I feel like you guys do it every Black Friday. Well, prior to COVID, you were doing it every Black Friday?
Doing it every Black Friday, 2017, 2018. And this is the lineup of Fletcher and Bob and me, the core three.
Right.
Chris Andreski, Mike Finley, Chris Dunn. Now, these guys, this lineup has been together for 10 years, except for when they went out on that tour. Because Bob, me, and Andreski couldn't go. We had I had just started the drive. Bob had been at his job too long to be able to take a whole summer off. And Andreski didn't go for whatever reason. But except for that, like maybe a year and a half when they were doing that, because they did like 3 of them, you know, where they had the painted up bus and everything.
Yep.
Other than that, this lineup's been together 10 years. This is what we call the classic Slug.
Gotcha.
So, because there's been a lot of guys in the band, but this is the one.
It has been. I feel like it's been one revolving door of musicians.
Yeah, you know, and it seems that way, but now that I look at it, we've had the same 6 guys for 10 years now.
Yeah.
You know, because the first gig with this lineup was actually 2009. So.
How's the rehearsals going?
They're going good, man. Yeah, we are going way back into the catalog.
Cool.
There will be some surprises. There's a lot more original stuff than we've done in the past, but there's still some dead songs. There's a couple other covers that go back to like our first year as a band that we haven't done. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. And they sound good, you know?
Does that muscle memory come right back to you when you're rehashing these songs?
Every single one of them.
You're right.
I remember everything.
Instantly?
Instantly.
Yeah.
You know, because it's 21 years now.
Right.
Except for the COVID year. Now, just to backstep for a second, 2017 we did the reunion of the classic lineup. Then 2018 we planned on doing it. Doug up at 12 North was dying for us to do it, and thanks to him, you know, for letting us. But then, like that year, we played a couple of things, and then 2019 I think we played 2 summertime things. One was a benefit for something. And we had like one other show. We did like a festival. We did the Strawberry Jam one year. We did some cool stuff. But then COVID hit and we did nothing. And this year, I thought we were going to do nothing, except we did do some small festival out in Central Square that was cool.
This summer? Past summer?
We did it Labor Day weekend. So, but other than that, man, you know, it's
good to be back in the swing of things.
It is, man. I wish we could play all the time, but it's a diverse lineup of people and lifestyles, and it's hard to get to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Fletcher's art career blew up. Chris lives in Albany. Yeah. He just got the artist in residence for the Stanley.
Yeah.
They made that up. There wasn't one.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
It's true. It's true. There was no venue has like a legitimate artist working for them.
Yeah, but you're
or partnered up with them, we should say.
Our boy over here is the DJ.
Yeah,
he's like
Gabe.
the DJ Gabe. Yeah,
yeah, DJ.
That's kind of cool.
Right.
You know?
He partnered up with the Stanley and doing it as like weddings or private parties or an opening act or any of that type of stuff. Gabe can fill in and do it for you.
That's what I thought. You know, I was wondering, like, is he going to be like before the show, back there in the soundboard, doing stuff like that? That's cool.
We got a lot of plans for him, actually. There's going to be some interesting shit going on down at the Stanley, that's for sure.
It's a community gem. But now it's becoming even more localized because of stuff like this.
Right.
I got a little glimpse at every show coming up, they want a painting done.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to blow
Concerts, that is.
Concerts, yeah. But the ballets.
Oh, right. The ballet, too. I forgot.
Yeah. So, but, you know, it's funny because when Alice Cooper was going to come in, when they told me about it.
Did you see that?
I was, like, blinded. I was like, whoa. And
no, the painting
was amazing. But I said to Linda and Lisa, I said, look, believe it or not, Fletcher's first rock and roll hero was Alice Cooper. I said, what if we got him to do a painting that's Alice at the Stanley themed. You could raffle it off at the end of the show and, do it as a fundraiser.
Wow, you fertilized all that?
I swear to God, that came from me.
Wow.
Diane had something to do with it, too. I brought it up. She was like, well, you could do it like this. And it's like, okay. But it was all me. Don't tell her I said that, but it was all my idea. So, anyways.
That's a great idea, though.
It was.
And it spawned into him becoming the house artist, and he's going to do some really cool things.
Well, I knew he would blow it out of the water because I know he is a big Alice Cooper fan. But at the same exact time, it was like, well, I want to get him to meet Alice. And if it wasn't for COVID, he would have.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, nobody met anybody.
Nobody met anybody.
I was supposed to introduce Ace, and I was like, my first guitar hero.
I met Ace, though. I told you the story on that.
Yeah, and then we got backstage, and they were like, no. Yeah. It was like, if you ain't with this tour, you ain't going anywhere. And they walked right by us, but when Ace and his management, two of the band guys popped out of that elevator, and they're like, hey, and we're like, hey, how you doing? They were obviously in the band. But when Ace and maybe his manager and his road manager walked by, they were like, there was nothing that said, even say hello. It was just like, zip right into the elevator. It was like, fuck. But, they're 70, and it's COVID, and they're going from town to town. So you got to bite the bullet once in a while.
Yeah.
But I thought Ace played great.
Yeah.
And then Alice was beyond the spectrum of good. Like, amazing. And he was the best interview I think I ever did.
It's great. You knocked it out of the park, man. And it's funny how he did his homework on you, too.
I told you this.
That must have blew you away.
About a year ago, if nobody knows what we're talking about, I made up a fake political election sign that said, elect Genesee Joe, exalted omnipotent dictator. And so when I picked the phone up, I says, this is Genesee Joe. I'm here to talk to Alice. They said, we'll put him right through. And I did the same thing I do with everybody. I says, hey, listen, thank you very much. I know we're a small market. You don't have to do this. And the first thing out of his mouth was, when the omnipotent dictator of rock calls upon me, I shall answer. And I immediately was like an 8th grade girl. I was like, ah! Thank God it was on the phone. Thank God, because if he was in front of me, I would have just tipped right over. And he was the nicest guy in the world. And then they give you 15 minutes. He talked well past the 15 minutes. The whole thing's at 927thedrive.net under podcasts. But he was just that friendly. And at the end, he goes, well, from what I understand, because his best friend is the calculator guy, the human calculator down here.
Scott Flansburgh.
Scott, yeah. He says, from what I understand, you're doing for radio what needs to be done to radio.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, shit. Thank you, Alice Cooper.
We're not worthy.
Yeah,
I
know. I was like, what's next? What's the name of how do you say Milwaukee? I was going to ask him, but he was the nicest guy in the world.
I know we've talked about this before, but I want to know it again, actually. I have to ask this question again. A fanboy moment. Oh, that was a fanboy moment for you with Alice Cooper.
Thank God it was the phone, because
you think you would have just
I could actually do this.
Locked up. I remember one time you were on this podcast and we talked about a fanboy moment. But
I fanboyed with Neil Young.
Neil Young, that's right.
Neil Young real bad, because I lived and died by every note and every word of his songs my whole teenage years.
Yeah.
And when I met him, I was like, thank you. I bribe with dust. I turned into Ralph Cramden on TV. It was just stupid.
Was that here locally?
It was, no. I was supposed to meet him at SPAC, and they changed the meet and greet from after to before. And we missed it. So we had tickets for a few days later at what was then called Great Woods down in Boston.
Yeah.
So I went down there with the SPAC passes and my radio credentials, which I really didn't have any. I was just a fucking night guy, And I talked to everybody I could. I met the tour photographer, a guy named Steve Babineau, and he said, you want to go talk to that guy right there, because he pointed down to where he was. That's Tucker. See this dude right there, hat or whatever? Go talk to Tucker. You tell him exactly what you tell me, and tell him Steve just told you to go find him. And we did, and they were like, yo, sure. No, you're radio guy in Utica. Here you go, man. Here's passes for tonight. And we went and we met him. And it was really the minute I tried to talk to him, couldn't think at all.
Did he pick up on it?
I hope not. I don't know. Honestly.
Was it brief?
Well, his wife, let's just put it this way. His wife had the bridge school, and he was used to conversing with disabled people. So I'm just hoping that he just was like, oh, how nice. It's a Make-A-Wish kid. This nice little blonde lady with him must be his caretaker. Yep, that's me. I couldn't talk. Frank San Pedro, I had a nice conversation with, and I talked to the drummer, Ralph, for a second. He was a very cool guy.
Ralph.
But every Ralph is a cool guy. Yeah. But the minute I walked up to Neil Young, it was like, like completely lost.
Froze.
Totally froze. And I can talk to anybody. I've gone up and talked to people that, like, the road manager, like, don't address them. Like, and then they walk, like, right up to you. Hey, how are you? And then they're nice.
Yeah.
But Neil Young biffed it.
How about the biggest asshole you've ever had to deal with in the rock industry? Was there anybody that was just an asshole, either through an interview or maybe at a VIP or a meet and greet?
That's a hard one. I honestly want to say there's somebody.
Oh, for sure.
Because I was supposed to do a phone interview or something, and it was like, oh, well, here's one. The Black Crowes guy wouldn't talk to the press. I talked to Steve Gorman, the drummer. But he had just busted up with Kate Hudson, so every reporter who talked to him,
Chris Robinson,
asked him about Kate Hudson, not what the Black Crowes were doing the show. Now, obviously, they don't know me, so Gorman, who was the band historian, came out and did the interview. And somebody signed a harmonica for me. He said, let me go back and I'll see if Chris will sign it. And somebody signed it. I don't know who because I didn't witness it. But he was kind of a dick because he wouldn't even think of addressing, talking to me. But I will say that. They didn't know that I was Joe, so I was going to ask him, what are you guys playing? How's it feel to be back? I didn't know about Kate Hudson. I didn't care.
Hudson.
No.
Right.
The other guy who I'm not crazy about, believe it or not, is John Popper. Because he's come to Utica, 20 times. All right, 5 times. And every time I said, will he do an interview? He never touches anybody. But I can't say he's an asshole. He just doesn't want to do it.
Well, he's freaking sloshed.
Yeah.
Man, the last time he was here, he was not in good shape.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was embarrassing, actually.
Man.
The tour manager's carrying him off the stage. He couldn't even put words together. They literally carry him onto the bus.
Eey.
Yeah.
You know who else was cool, though? Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke. Extremely cool. Like, really, like I knew him. I talked to Devin Allman, and that was funny because I hadn't interviewed anybody for all of COVID, so I was like stupid in my interview style. Like it didn't flow or anything, so I had to edit it all back together. Then I was a little more warmed up a week or two later for Charlie, and Charlie was like he just walked in and sat down. Like Frank came in earlier, and even though I sort of know him, I don't know him, but we all had a nice conversation. That's how Charlie Starr was. The nicest guy in the world. And, the new song they got, You Hear Georgia, is basically like people who are prejudiced. You hear Georgia, so you think I'm this way, so you write me off. And I asked him, and he just very nicely addressed it. And we're like, oh, well, and he was just the coolest guy in the world. I wish I could have been able to say hi to him down at the brewery. But once again, COVID protocols, nobody can go near these guys.
You would think Blackberry Smoke is equivalent to what Skinner was doing in the early 70s.
And I said to him, it's kind of like Neil Young and Ronnie, where Neil just said, Ronnie said, after 2 songs, Southern Man in Alabama, this guy paints with too wide of a brush. And even though they were friends, he kind of called him out on it, And he was like, that's exactly what it's like. So, yeah.
They kick ass.
They do.
It's a great show, too.
They are just such a solid band.
Mm-hmm.
And back about 10 years ago when I first saw them, I said, oh, this is supposed to be the Black Crowes meet Skinner. They don't impress me. And then little by little, I kept seeing and hearing more and more. And it's like, nope. They've moved out of that realm. And now I think they're one of the most solid bands on the road right now.
You know why? Because they work their ass off.
They do.
Back then, too. They were working double back then to what they're working. And they work a lot now.
Yeah. Did you hear the thing that we're playing? It's beautiful because it's pro shot audio of them with the whole Allman Betts band right after Dusty Hill died doing Jesus Just Left Chicago.
Wow, really?
And it's like...
You're playing that on the drive?
We're playing it, yeah. Honestly, I stole the audio off of it.
Yeah.
Because it's that good. And, Charlie solos, then Devin solos, then they do a verse, and then Dwayne solos, and it's like, holy cow, both bands, all the bands, every member, and they're killing this. And it's a brilliant version of it. It's only like 6.5 minutes long, but it's just killer. It's beautiful, man. So
Almond Bets with Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah.
What a lineup.
I'm so glad to see that Almond Bets is coming back to the Stanley, too.
Yeah.
March 10th.
It's going to be a great show.
Yeah.
Like that whole circle of what's going on in that, like it's the revamp of Southern rock. It's back again.
Yeah, and Marcus King fits into that.
Marcus King, yeah. Great artist. And you're spinning all these artists on the drive. Tedeschi Trucks fits into that as well.
Tedeschi Trucks is in there. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's all, Almond's family. People don't realize, although the Almonds were around 40 years, the last 14 years was Derek.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was Derek.
Mm-hmm. Derek and O'Teal and Warren.
And when he wasn't doing that, Eric Clapton took him out. And, and then he had the Derek Trucks band.
Yeah.
So it's not like, and when I talked to Devin, I said to him, I said, back about 10, 15 years ago, there was a rumor that Zach Starkey and Donnie Harrison and Julian Lennon, and I think it's James McCartney, or one of Paul's kids is a minor musician, that they were going to do a band. I said, and that would have not flown. But Almond Betts band is just purely organic. You guys have been friends, hanging around forever. Like, there were pictures of them I had seen of them on camping trips with their fathers, Dwayne and Devin. And he was like, that's exactly it. He said, we've been wanting to do this for 20 years. It just finally happened where we could. So it was totally organic. And I was like, thank God.
Imagine if they bring that whole package on the road.
I know.
Like Almond Betts, Tedeschi Trucks, Blackberry Smoke.
That
would be such a great that would be a great festival.
That would be a festival. That would be a good festival, and they would only have to go to 15 or so cities.
Yeah.
Because people would flock to it, And
you mentioned Marcus King. He's on fire right now. He's still a kid, too, Joe.
Yeah.
I want to say he's 24 years old, 25 years old. He's still a kid.
Yeah. And, he's from the same town as Marshall Tucker Band. Mm-hmm. So he had this big league influence to look at. And he doesn't sound like Marshall Tucker Band, but he had the right, vision. Mm-hmm. That tune, I didn't know if it was going to fly. It's called One Day She's Here, the Next She's Gone, and it's a little Southern soul-y.
Yeah.
It's got the girls singing. It may actually technically be just a Marcus King song, not the band, because he uses more musicians on it.
Gotcha.
But people were like, what is this song? People I never thought would like it were calling up and sending me Facebook messages saying, what song is this? This is cool. Because it just sounds different enough, And we dare to be different.
Yeah. Are there any other new artists out there?
Just started playing Christone Kingfish Ingram.
Slow, can you, what?
Yeah, dude's 22 years old from Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Okay.
And this is screwy because we live in an age where it's hard to actually just describe a person. He's a really heavy-set, young black kid, right? Plays the guitar, and the guitar sits up on his belly. But he's right along the same lines of Stevie Ray, Johnny Lang, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. And he's very bluesy, but I knew that there would be a song that was a rocker. Like that was just slid a little over towards Cream or towards Stevie Ray's rocky stuff. It's called Long Distance Woman. I finally found it off his new record. The new record's called 662, and I immediately started playing it. And it's just a killer tune. It sounds like Kenny Wayne Shepherd, but he's the whole package because he's a ripping guitar player. The band is solid, yet sort of funky. You know what I mean? Like it's a real toe tapper, and he sings great.
What's his name again?
Christone, like Christopher, but Christone. Like Tone.
I gotcha.
Kingfish is his nickname. Like the old band Kingfish, that Weir was in.
Yep.
Ingram. Ingram. And I've been watching him for a while. And if you saw him, you wouldn't recognize him because he showed up in one of those documentaries because somebody down south had like a rock school. And he was one of the kids going to that, like a school of rock type thing. But there's no gimmick. There's no trick. He's a total real deal. Total real deal.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Not that's popped up so much.
You hip to this Aaron Jones?
I am not hip to Aaron Jones.
He's like the new guy coming out of Seattle. He's opening for the Stones right now.
Really?
Yeah. It's like it's kind of a combination of soul rock, like rocket soul, I guess you would call it. But it's got like a twist of grunge because he's from Seattle, so it's got like a little heavy overtones to it.
Well, that's what I like about the bands we talked about, because some of them have horns involved, and it's southern rocky, a little bit of Memphis soul, but it's not so far away from classic rock that it's untouchable. You know, in all of these bands, and including Greta Van Fleet, and that's the one that people piss and moan about because, they sound too much like Zeppelin. Well, they were 1920 when this came out.
Yeah.
So I don't care, because the next one, you could see is a little step removed from that. From what I understand, the second Greta Van Fleet record that came out with My Way Soon on it, the first edition of it was way different. And the record company said, bring it back the other way. This is your second record. You bring it back towards the first one. And so they did. They changed things around a little bit and put it out. But you can't take too big of a jump all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
People don't like change.
No, they don't. And so I like them. But I want to look up that guy because, there is interesting new stuff coming out.
Lots.
In a terrible age when we're deluged with a million different options because there's no record companies anymore. So now everybody's a record company.
Right.
And you know what? As bad as it was towards the end of the record company era, where they only wanted certain things and like Sony boiled their roster down and all this is just as bad because there is no gatekeeper. A good trained guy that knew what was going to be good and what wasn't was a good thing to have at a record company. But now there is none of those, so now everybody's out there in front of you.
Yeah, but they also had their fair share of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
And there's a lot of crap out there. But let me tell you, there's so many platforms right now that you could find so many great artists. There's a lot of great music out there, but there is a lot of shit out there as well.
Yes, that is the truth. And that's kind of what I was trying to say, but I was saying everything but that.
No, but the record companies were, if you had that couple good A&R reps that had a good ear, for sure. I mean, that's why we're listening to some of these classics still to this day. I'm noticing, like, the younger kids are starting to get more into rock. I'm starting to see a little bit of an upswing right now.
You are, actually. And there's a good examples of that here is this Filled to the Brim band.
I love
who
those
you had
guys.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are a good example of that. Even guys like Spencer Morgan. Excuse me.
Spencer's not young anymore.
He's not young anymore,
well,
but
he's
he
young
was.
to us.
Yeah, But the other kid is this dude that I'm going to claim.
You claiming a dude?
Jake Lozo. Have you heard Jake play?
He's been on.
Yes.
I haven't heard him play yet, though.
I can't claim him because his father, Todd, was in Lonesome Dove. But I told him when I first saw him and not realize he never actually played in front of people before, come up to a blues jam. Mohawk Valley Blues Society jam, Piggy Pats every second, Wednesday of every month. And he came up and he's like, I never played in front of anybody before. But he killed it and took direction well from some of the older guys because he didn't quite have he just went and tore it up. It was like, slow down, let this guy go, let that guy go, and watch the traffic. And Mark Sistai told him, like, leave a little room for other guys. And so the next time he came back, it's like that's all he had ever done. Like
he did his homework.
Yeah. The ability to take constructive criticism and go right where it was. But Jake's amazing. And then Uncle Charlie and Meatballs scooped him right up. So now he's got Spoonie and the Tone Chasers, and he's got the Meatballs, So I'm going to sort of claim him.
You're going to claim him?
I'm going to sort of claim him.
Well,
it's like Chris Andreski with Slug. I claim him.
Do you?
Oh, yes.
He's a shredder.
He is. And
uber talented,
he owes
too,
it all
other
to,
instruments.
He owes it all to me, and I know he'd say that if he was here, but, No, yeah, he is. You can throw throw an instrument at him in 5 minutes, he's playing everything on it, The most complicated flute piece, he's like, look what I bought at a garage sale, and he played, like, a Beethoven piece. It's like, when did you get that? Oh, about 20 minutes ago. What? What do you mean? But
these kids need to learn instruments and learn how to play and rock, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
get off your iPads and listen to a band.
You know what? And, I don't know. To say this stuff, somebody's going to go out there and go, oh, listen to these old bastards.
Get off my lawn, kid.
Yeah, the songs that you hear today that are all super tuned, super auto-tuned, I know that's hip and all that, but
I don't think it's hip at all. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
It makes artists lazy.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
It's horrible.
Auto-tune used to be used a little bit, especially on the road because you get tired out and everything. Guys like me could use auto-tune all the fucking time.
Me too.
A little bit. Because, I'm just not a good singer. Not stopping. And I'm not going to stop at all, but I'm not, a strong singer. I can
But it
sing.
sounds too robotic.
Yeah, it sounds exactly robotic.
Yeah.
I'd rather hear a guy that kind of, got a little flat, got a little sharp, but I knew that was his voice.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or just not sing at all.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Just please don't do it. Stop.
Yeah.
If you got to use the auto tune, I just feel like it's making them not explore if they have it or not.
Well, it lends the ability to have style over substance.
Gotcha.
It gives carte blanche to that.
Yeah.
Because now you got to do is get somebody with the right look, and who cares?
And that's what it's about now.
And that's
Likes.
all it is. There shouldn't be 8 producers on anybody's record.
Right.
Because the greatest records in the world came out with 1 producer.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Great point.
And it just, come on. Mm-hmm. It's not. And, eventually it'll be like, oh, my God, why did we do that? It'll be like, 80s fashions. So the kids will look back and go, what the hell were we looking at?
Yeah, why did my mom dress me like that?
Yeah. But anyways.
Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You believe it's here already?
No, it seems like it was just 4th of July.
Seriously. It goes by fast. Those old timers used to tell me back in the day, hey, kid, it goes by fast. And you're just like, all right, whatever. I'll just keep drinking and smoking away my life. And they weren't kidding. They weren't kidding.
I don't understand the phenomena, although I know, because it's all in relation to how long you've been on this earth. But holy crap, man. The years fly by.
Yeah.
It does. It's a weird phenomenon as you get older.
Yeah.
So 2 things, too, I want to touch on quick, because one of them I've been waiting to talk to you about this, and I'll tell you why. First of all, speaking of good new music from local stuff, I think the 2 Gridley Page songs I've heard so far have been great.
Oh, yeah.
No one mentioned Tim Moyer yet, so let me introduce.
Well, because he's not young. We were talking about kids.
Yeah, but I think those songs are great. And the second one that came out there, I think the instrumentation is a slight step away from what you would think of with those guys, and I think it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. I really think it's cool.
Yeah,
I think it's really good. Both songs were good, and of course, because I brought it up here in a public forum, the title of the second song has completely escaped me.
Me too.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
But there's no.
Well, you got a reason.
There's no.
The place reeked of marijuana when I walked in.
That's because my neighbor popped in.
I know.
There is no more hardworking son of a bitch in the local music scene than Tim Moyer.
Which leads me to my next point. Now, we're going to get back to plugging the Slug gig at 12 North in Marcy Friday night with Ashley Dakar and the Deadbolts opening up. But because these are things I've been wanting to talk to you about because we always talk. I wish Justin was here.
You're so radio.
I know.
That was good, though.
That
was a good jump.
Because I'll forget to talk about it. Then those guys will be like, what the fuck? You were supposed to go there and talk about the gig, and you talked about shoe shine boxes in 1930. But anyway, I wish Justin was here for this part. Because, people can complain about certain bands in the area because, they're all over the place. And, Showtime is one of them, Gridley's one of them, The Bomb is one of them. Mm-hmm. But all 3 of those have always, especially Gridley and especially Mike from The Bomb, have always gone beyond the norm in promotion. Mm-hmm. Mike used to be out there back in the days of flyers, you remember, with those printed flyers every week all over town, putting them up.
All over town. They'd find it like in the middle of like Chadwick's.
Yeah.
They'd be like in Boonville.
Yeah, they'd be the Big M in Boonville.
Yeah.
The Bomb's playing nothing fancy. But they worked it.
Yeah.
And then they use social media to work it, Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why They get the things they do.
Exactly.
You can't be lazy.
They work hard.
Had to pull teeth to get the listings for this week from bands.
We break Tim Moyer's balls all the time on this show and on Local Music Monday, and I love that dude. But I will say that dude is a hardworking son of a bitch. He works his ass off.
When I say submit your dates or who's playing where, he's always the first or second person.
Yeah, right. On top of it.
Yeah.
On top of it.
He's totally on top of it. Whatever work you put into it is what you get out of it. And you know as well as I do, and Sistai has said the same thing with us, getting people to take free publicity is like pulling teeth. You know, if you have 6 gigs booked and I give you the link to put your own gigs into the Drive website, which that page gets a lot of hits, put 6 gigs in. Don't put this week's. Put them all in.
Yeah.
You know? Vinyl Logic does that. They put all their gigs in. Eddie Pecorello, same thing. He runs it like he's running a small business. And as much as we want to rock and have fun, if you have a band, you have a small business. You know?
Exactly.
And through the years, listen, even Slug, we never treated it like that in the beginning.
No.
You know, we know now.
It's a party.
Yeah. A constant party.
Now there's a bunch of publications, too. You can get all this free promotion, you know, between the Drive and what Mark Sistai is doing at the OD, 315 Music, and even Bill.
Yeah,
Bill's music listings. So there's a bunch of different little platforms that you can use to get your word out.
Now, you see, me and Bill are friends, and we work together on that. And during the pandemic when, you know, I didn't want to post gigs because, God forbid, somebody got sued because there were 22 people there instead of 20. Well, we saw it on the Drive site. You know, here we go. Here come the lawyers. So we didn't do that. But I shared Bill's listing. So it wasn't my information. But Bill is great because Bill says, listen, I'm retired. I can spend all day on Facebook looking for gigs. So I had 31 things on my Drive listing, and we shared that list. Me, him, and Mark all shared it together. But Bill found about 20 more because he goes even a little further out in his circle of, you know, area.
He's out of the bubble.
So we shared that because we're not, you know, if you go to that Drive page, and this is something these local musicians should know, there's no pop-up ads or anything. That's just a listing of people playing places. We're not making money off of that. So I just said, I'm going to share Bill's list because there's more on there. We're literally just doing that as a service to local musicians.
That's what I love about the Drive.
Yep. And you know, as long as we're going to talk about this stuff.
Do I feel a PSA coming on right now?
No, I'm going to piss and moan, though.
Oh, okay. Grumpy old Joe comes out?
It doesn't happen all the time, but it happened with Thunderwatt, and now we're running commercials for Slug. People go, how come your band gets commercials? Well, first of all, because I work in radio and the pay's not great. You know what I mean? So that's part of my deal. But any band who wants to advertise their gigs, if they contact me, I can do commercials for them, and we'll do them super cheap because it's just some bar band. There's no money to be made there, but you know, you also can't have it for free.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to put the commercial together for you.
Oh, there's times and costs that go into it.
You know, I mean, I'll give them to you for $5 each, but spend $100 so that you get good coverage. You know. It just, all you got to do is ask. There's a million ways with the Drive to work around anything, you know? Get the bar to split it with you. You know, let them see what the power of the Drive advertising is. But, you know, people, they think that I'm taking advantage of something. Not everybody, but a few people. It's like, no, first of all, it's part of my compensation package is commercials. If I was having a garage sale, I could advertise that.
I mean, you guys have had a huge growth of popularity lately, too.
The pandemic worked like a charm for us. I hate to say it that way, but people started listening and saw what we're all about. You know, like when I'm painting houses, if I wanted to run commercials for that, I could. So that it's all that. It doesn't matter what I want to do. But any band can ask for that, and I can take care of them. You know?
Take advantage of this service.
Yeah.
$100, seriously?
Yeah, I would do it cheap.
Better than a Black Friday sale.
See, because it's not a corporation. We know, look, it's just some bar band, but we'll get people in to see them, and you know, it's all part of it.
Right.
But, you know, and you'll get an actual commercial, not just a mention with the list. But anyways, want to talk about one more thing?
Uh-oh. Is this another PSA?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
So, one of the things with the pandemic, and I know we talked about this, was a lot of people did records. and put out good stuff. And
like vinyl records? Or are you talking
but
albums?
like CDs,
like
recorded an album.
Yeah.
Jack A was just in here. Jackie.
Yeah. Jackie.
Her, Fill to the Brim. These Before Sunday.
Maybe Sunday.
Mm-hmm. They just sent me theirs, and I want to tell that kid, I'm sorry I didn't get back to him yet.
Fritz, he did one.
Yeah, Fritz did one. Fritz did a good one.
Yeah.
But, the Maybe Sunday guys, look, it's Thanksgiving week. So in radio, you do 6 days work in 3 days. So I did not get a chance to listen to his thing. I'm not ignoring him. But all these guys should know, and it happens all the time around here. They start writing their own songs, and then you hear them start saying stuff, especially in like threads, about how they won't play any covers because they're an original band. But then they also complain about the scene. Believe it or not, Slug is 100% the best example to use as a blueprint if you want to write original songs. Because Fletcher writes great songs.
He does.
He really does. His lyrics are tricky. The musicianship is... It's always like cool. Like there's always cool arrangements. Bob, we got one song, there's like 7 different little tempo shifts in it, and that's all Bob. Him and Bob are a great team to write together. And we've been doing CDs since 2000. We only did 2 of them, but we've got 2 full produced CDs, Hippies, Monsters, Mimes, and Lawyers, and Rescued from the Glue Farm, which came out in 10, I think. But
Rescued from the Glue Farm?
Yeah. Kind of explains it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I've seen people at the front of the stage, no lie, singing along with songs off of like Hippies, Monsters, Mimes, and Lawyers that I don't know. So it's not like they're a close friend and did some stranger picked up on that tour did a lot for it. It's on all the platforms. People will come and they're singing along with Once or, Just Fuck Me and Give Me Back My Keys.
Love that song.
I wrote the lyrics to that.
Yeah.
Because I'm childish. Anyways, but...
Was it off a personal experience?
Oh, yeah, it's a breakup song.
It's a breakup song. Okay.
It's a breakup song. Yeah. Totally true story. But anyway. But no, so what I'm saying is, but we never really go out and just play an original show. And a lot of these bands, that's all they want to do, and then they complain that they can't get booked or they can't get paid. You can play your songs, but you've got to play song. Don't think of covers. I'm going to use for example purposes only is Uptown Funk. Play songs that influenced you.
Can you use a better...
Yeah, but like the summer that came out, remember Joe Finelli was going to hang himself if he heard it one more time?
I'm still going to hang myself if I hear it again.
Don't think you got to do that, but don't think your tastes are so discerning, too, that everything you like, no one else wants to hear. No one's being forced to play terrible covers of their... Play songs you like. And then just like we did with all those Dead songs or Johnny Cash songs or Dylan songs, especially those where you can really have room to move, 80% what was on the record and 20% of what you do. In our case, a lot is there's a harmonica in it. Mm-hmm. Thunderwatt did that, too. Now, with like the Pink Floyd tunes, they were like 95%, and then there's some asshole with a harmonica on it, too. But, with those Skinner tunes and the Almonds tunes and all of that stuff, it was 75, 80% what the actual song was, and the rest was our musicianship. And that fills out the night. And it does keep people there. And then after they hear a couple of tunes they know and you rock them, Vinny and the Butchers used to do that. They would do their own version of a cover song. It was 75-25. Listen to Driven to Tears they used to do. Lenny did a drum solo in there. The whole place would stand there with their jaw on the ground. This is how you adapt to wanting to play in Utica if you're an original band. And take this from Uncle Genesee. God's honest truth. That will get you jobs, and that will get you playing. And then when you intersperse your own songs in there, they're good songs coming out of this area. That's how you introduce them.
Right.
And that's how, because they're going to come to hear their favorite song you did by The Dead or by Kiss or by, Black Sabbath. But then when you play yours, they're going to get to know it. And that's when they buy the CD, and that's how you've got to do it. Now, if you can get a chance to go out of town to play at a place that books all original bands, and you get your 40 minutes and you're on there with 5 other bands, then adapt and go do just an original show. But that's what these guys aren't seeing. It's not about being like forced at gunpoint to play cover songs. Play your own version of the song, with a little, you know what I mean? This song influenced us. This is my favorite song. Then intersperse your songs, and that's how you introduce your original music to a crowd, but it's also how you keep getting booked.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they act like they're being beaten with a rattan cane in Singapore to play like songs they hate, and it's not true. Stop being so goddamn dramatic, and I'm an Italian saying that.
A lot of these venues aren't going to take a chance on an original band.
No, they're not.
Because it's not about the music. It's about making money through that register. It's not about what you're playing. It's about how many people you're pulling in through the building. And
don't start with this, I'm a beer salesman. Oh, shut up.
Well, it's true.
First of all, you're trying to keep people in the bar.
Industry.
You're going to keep people in the bar. You're going to keep girls in the bar. You'll keep guys in the bar. That's all part of it. It's all part of the thing. It's a job you want to be rehired for. You know, these guys take things so, like, completely wrong. I hate to say it.
They do.
You have to be able to put on a show. That's how you introduce your music to the masses.
And the people that are in attendance watching a live band, they want to make that comparison of what kind of band you sound like.
Do.
So that's why they want to hear a cover song.
Yes.
Because they want to be like, oh, they sound like Stone Temple Pilots, or they sound like whoever, you know?
Every single major band, there's not one you can mention, from the Beatles to Van Halen to ZZ Top. None of them ever went completely without playing covers. Van Halen's a perfect example. Intruder, Pretty Woman. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Eruption, You Really Got Me. Why do these bands around here think that it's a sin to play somebody else's songs? Especially when everyone was influenced by someone else. Show your influences. Play some songs that people are going to... Because another thing that's a real misnomer around here is that people don't want to hear anything like an album cut. Now, Thunderwatt took that to the 10th degree. You know what I mean? But you can play your favorite song from some Metallica record. You can play your favorite, you know, if you're a country band, you can play some Zac Brown song that was not his hit, but his album cut. You guys they're taking it completely wrong and then complaining that the scene sucks.
It's always been a bitch.
Take it from the old man. Swear to God, above and beyond all, in many, many ways, do not use Slug as your example. But in this case, use Slug as your example. We played Dead songs, we played Dylan songs, we played, Stones, Dr. Hook, blues songs. Then we put our songs in there, and people got to know them.
Take it from Uncle Genesee.
Take it from Uncle Genesee. God damn it.
Tonight's the night before Thanksgiving.
And don't bring some fucking homemade cranberry sauce to me. I want canned cranberry sauce.
Wow.
If there ain't no lines in it, it's going out the window. I had to be an uncle,
Uncle Genesee.
Yeah.
Tonight, night before Thanksgiving. It used to be the biggest bar night of the year. I don't know what it's. I think
that's back. I think that's back, Jamie.
Do you remember back in the day, man? There was a lot of traditions that used to go on. We were talking about before we went live, like Vinny and the Butchers used to play at the Devereaux every Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
That was my favorite, was the Butchers at the Devereaux. You couldn't move a muscle. Everybody was packed in there. But Trips,
too. He'd have like George Wesley, even Joe Mama and Funk Daddies.
And you know what? Yeah, and I can remember going from like one place to the other real quick. Mm-hmm. Catch the end up there. Or usually we ended at the Devereaux, though, with the Butchers. But, even that, what was that place on Varick Street for a while? Fellow Z or something owned it.
Poles?
No, electric company. I mean, you guys used to have some great stuff.
Lily Langtree's, dude.
Yeah, that one, yeah. No, I mean, I could,
Yeah, we had some monumental nights before Thanksgiving. There was many Thanksgivings that I'd sit at the dinner table and wouldn't be able to eat my food.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, man, I can't do it just because you tied one on the night before.
Yep. And you know what? It's funny, too, because, like I said, those Butcher gigs at the Devereaux were just my thing all through the 90s. That was such a fun night, and you saw everybody you hadn't seen. In Utica, for as much as it has that, problematic thing where people move away, between the people that moved away and come back for the holidays and the kids that just got back from college, that's why we have such a huge thing and always have had such a huge thing, because everybody wants to go back. The Breakaway used to have cool stuff the night before Thanksgiving, too. I think Fester might have played up there.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, so it is, the biggest bar night now.
Fun night.
2019, we went out to Gloucester, and I said, hey, what's
Where?
going Gloucester, Massachusetts,
Okay.
to Diane's relative's house.
Gotcha.
And I said, what's going on tonight? And her cousin was like, I think there's like 1 or 2 bars open tonight. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? There should be like, 20 places rocking.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of places do not have the music that we have. A lot of places do not have that,
I imagine Very Streets of the Zoo tonight.
Oh, I hope so.
It's
I
always
hope
a
it
fun
is.
night to go out.
Yeah.
Night before Thanksgiving, even before I had the bar. Go out the night before Thanksgiving. It was just, you'd see people you haven't seen in 100 years and get reacquainted with old friends.
What was your favorite one?
I can't remember.
Yeah, good. That means they were fun.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yep.
There was night before. I don't know, especially at the electric company. I definitely don't remember much.
Yeah. Well, that was a bad thing because you had to set it up, work it, be there, and then you could start the party. But by the time you started the party, let's face it, you were probably already exhausted.
Bro, I was 27 when I opened that place up. That's young.
It is.
Isn't that young to own a bar at 27 years old?
Yep. And let's face it, that was actually the catalyst that started Varick Street.
Yeah,
I will
more or
say
less,
that
for sure.
Yeah.
I get, yeah. I understand that. People started to take interest of what was going on, what we were doing, but we were bringing culture down to that street. Like, the only thing that was open was O'Donnell's and the Varick.
Yeah.
The only 2 bars at the time. And the Varick, if you remember, was a NASCAR bar.
Yeah.
And they only catered to one particular crowd.
Yep.
Where we were bringing in all these bands and people were traveling to come see these bands. And
we needed that because Trips had closed.
And
it had to be the necessary next step,
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you started to see these bars pop up left and right.
One night in the dead of winter, we went up and saw Bonamassa at the Turning Stone. And, like a 7:30 start, so we knew we'd be out of there by about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we shot down because you had Al and the Trans-Americans there. And I know it was like January, February. It was not night before Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
But I remember getting there, and there were a ton of people outside. And somebody opened the door, and it was like blisteringly cold out. Opened the door, and the hole under the awning would fill with steam because it was that hot in there, and it was that cold outside. And we, got to the door and just waited with everybody else. And finally, it was like it was too cold. We left. But, that's the way the scene should be.
Yeah.
And that's the way that bar was. It was like the logical next step after Trips. And those guys really, Tommy.
I learned
and Vinny,
everything from them.
Yeah.
I learned it all from them. Tommy's still one of my best friends.
Yep.
I thank him every day when I talk to him. I'm like, seriously, honestly, we wouldn't be doing the D without Tommy and Frank, too. I mean, we're in Frank's building right now. Tommy set that up. He facilitated all this.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And,
he's done a lot for me, that man. I love him.
I'm like you. And I'm a little older than you, but I do not mind at all saying, Tom Starr, Jerry Krause, Nelson Rudiak, those were 3 huge influences. Mm-hmm. Jerry, when Jerry was every day on the radio, when he did like a football night or something, Chuck Hubbard one time said to me, you remember Chuck?
Yeah.
Watch Jerry, because we were setup guys. You watch Jerry and see how he does. And Jerry runs a room better than anyone. If the Giants were playing Monday Night Football and they scored a touchdown, he didn't know all these guys, but he knew they were Giants fans. He was giving them high fives because he was a Giants fan. Watch how he does that. Watch how he does introductions. Tom, how to run the fucking place. Mm-hmm. How to schedule the music. What's the right way and the nuances of, that. And then what's completely the wrong way. Nelson, God bless Nelson, man. It was him and Hirsch. And Nelson was the one that I got stuck with him being the man on the street, but he was the one that told me, this was funny, but if you do it like this is going to be even funnier. He also, I think, tried to, like you, get me arrested as I was out there doing man on the street stuff, and thank God it never happened like it happened to you.
I got arrested.
Yeah. But, Dan Musson. Dan Muspin, the Duke, Dan Austin.
The Duke, yeah.
Is
he still doing radio?
I don't think so. He's doing some other slightly related thing down there. He's another one the corporations gave it to a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Him, JP, a couple of guys got it all at once from that company. But to this day, like all of those Thunderwatt spots we used to do, those crazy ones that had, 15 elements in a song. Thunderwatt and the plus vocal clips and solo clips, and then the actual information. To this day, no matter, I just did Almost Queen Spot, and I still say, does this sound how Duke would have done it? Is this along the lines of what Duke would have done? And so I am so thankful. Allison is another one, with how music flows. And to this day, like, we'll hear something and go, what is this? Or I get elated, wow, this is great. You know what I mean? I have no problem paying homage and thanking publicly all of those guys who taught me everything I know.
Circling back to our original conversation in the beginning of this podcast, talking about radio.
Yep.
That's when radio was good. You just mentioned a team. You guys would be out on the street doing bar nights, doing these events out and about. And like, it was a team. There was definitely a different feel with radio back then than it is today. Because you don't feel that team camaraderie anymore with any of these radio stations. It's any of them. Nobody's out doing these bar nights. And I know COVID killed a lot of things too, but it's not what it used to be.
Well, you know what, too? The corporations do not want that kind of camaraderie.
No.
They divide and conquer. And I think that, I feel bad because I always put down the corporations, but I'm not putting down the people that work here in town. I like them. I don't like the corporation. And I don't know what happened, but a lady that worked across the street just posted on Facebook Sunday she left. And I'd like to ask her, but I don't want to look like a vulture, so I'm going to give it some time.
I saw that.
Yeah. I feel for that, I'm sure it wasn't because...
You've been victim to that.
Luckily, I never have, but all around me. I was like, that was the collateral damage.
Gotcha.
When Dame Media came in, okay? The guy's an asshole. He told Nelson, I know your uncle. You're safe here. The words weren't even out of his mouth, and Nelson was getting fired for no reason. It was a cost-cutting effect. And then they took Allie and put her on with Hirsch. Allie had never done morning. She was a cool night rock chick, not a morning show person. Then they were just making bigger fish to sell to Clear Channel, and that's when Bob and Tom came in. And they did the same thing with me. You're going to be you can voice track nights, but you got to be the local host for Bob and Tom. Well, first of all, I was just going through a divorce, partying like crazy, and was not a morning person. I was a night guy. They were shoehorning people in. And then at one time, this is what the corporations do, and this is why I don't like it. At one time, I was doing live Bob and Tom in the morning, then taking time off and actually going to Deborah to make lunches, then doing an afternoon sports show with Freddie Miller on the Sports Stars radio network, then voice tracking OUR 7 to midnight, and voice tracking The River, because Tom had come back into the fold and started The River. And so for anybody listening, between 10 and 2 in the afternoon, I wasn't on the radio. Now, come on.
I remember all that.
Come on. And so that's why I don't like the corporations. But I see Bill all the time. I like Bill. We talk every time we see him, I like Dave Wheeler. I like all those guys, but I don't like the company they work for's mindset. Honestly, I wish in radio, am I rambling?
No, I love this.
Good, because it's things I've been wanting to say. I wish in radio that somebody could cut the balance between the corporate business side that needs to have good structure and then the creative programming side. Nobody has cut that balance. If they would, radio would be the biggest thing in the world to this day still. It would be super important to people to this day still. I'm telling you, but they won't do it. And you know what? All these corporation guys, they're getting rich. They got more money than anybody can think of.
Absolutely.
It's not coming down to the people at the board. And I mean, let's face it, we're not rocket scientists, so we're not going to make $100,000 a year, but it shouldn't be cut down to part-time jobs and voice track 3 stations and shit like that.
Right, you should be compensated for your time properly.
And rewarded for when you do good.
Right. And there's a lot of cool fringe benefits that come along with radio, and they try to entice you with that, and then they would bring your salary down.
Yeah.
But, if they made it fair, it would be more feasible for everybody.
Let me get to that real quick, and I'll tell you something. There's a reason why I'm at the drive. It's one of the little bricks in the wall. But my other thing is, drive up past And not just here in Utica and Utica Rome. Go to Syracuse, go to Albany, go anywhere. You drive by, and there's a giant logo of the company, iHeartMedia, Cumulus Media, Town Square Media. And then little signs underneath it, you know, the Eagle, the Frog, Late 98.7, OUR, WIBX. Nobody ever said, wow, let me get out of bed and turn on an iHeartMedia property. They go to listen to the station. The iHeartMedia, all those corporate, they should be this big underneath them, and those bad boys should be that's the draw, you know? Mm-hmm. Come on. They do it right in front of these people, and honestly, some people in these corporate places don't like me because I say your corporation's a bunch of shitheads, and they think I'm talking about them. I'm not talking about you. It's right there. People get up there. I want to hear Bill in the morning. Now, and Bill isn't like this. Bill is a great dude. Don't get me wrong.
He's been on this podcast many times.
And he does great shows. When you had him and Spears on about a week apart, those were two great shows. And I like Gary a lot, too. Yeah. But, you know, they do it right in front of you, bro. Name of the corporation, and then the stations that people know and love are smaller signs underneath. Get out of here.
Right.
Nobody knows what our Juno Broadcasting is. That's who owns the drive in El Zorro. Mm-hmm. Radio Latino. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, I do. It's a lack of respect for your employees, I think, sometimes, too.
Yeah.
They're the ones out there hustling your brand.
Nobody cares about who owns the place. They care about the guy who talks into the mic. Mm-hmm. And there should always be guys that people know doing that talking. Mm-hmm. You know? What can I tell you?
Yeah, the whole radio wars thing is kind of a
that's a thing in the past. And I've talked to Bill about that, man.
Oh,
I'll go. You know what? I give Bill Keeler a lot of credit. Number one, he always knew when it was time to change his image a little bit.
Yeah.
And from what he was when he first started and how he adapted.
You're right.
Just like I said about local bands, adapt. Now he's doing something else, and it's right on, man.
He's reinvented himself many times.
Yes, because he's a smart guy. Mm-hmm. And I will be glad to say that I was the first guy who fell for the Ed Hanna resign thing. That fax came in, and I just told him this up at Ellis Chiropractic when I saw him about a month ago. Came in, it looked totally official. I went right on the air with it and said, look for more details in the morning. And the whole thing was a prank.
Funny you say that because I was in that studio that morning.
I was the first guy to fall for it.
And it was over fax machine.
Yeah.
And the fax just kind of piled in that morning. Because it happened, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. He put that in there. He had the whole place on edge that day for sure.
A guy in radio that was here before that you don't like.
It was April Fool's, right?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
And I got it the night before because I was on 7 to midnight. A guy that you don't like because he was a dick to you. And honestly, he was okay to me, but still a little hot and cold with his behaviors. One time, Bill's guys were riding somebody, and he said,
"You mean the old program director?"
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Does this shirt make me look fat? No, your lifestyle does. Anyway.
I think you look great.
Thank you. But anyways, he said when he goes, all right, we're going to get back at those guys, Keeler's crew. We're going to do this, and we're going to come by. And I went, whoa. Because I knew he was not, he wasn't of that mindset. And I knew he wasn't quick enough. Uh-huh. I said, hold on. And this was a Tom Starr thing that I couldn't quote to him. Act like there's no other stations in town. Act like, I says, you got to remember, those guys get off the air and spend the next 4 hours thinking of ways to break people's balls. We don't have that luxury. We sure as hell can't do it. And I was thinking,
it's not even a luxury, it's mentality.
Yeah. And it was like, I know you can't fucking do it. And I sure as hell don't want to be in the spotlight because, you know what? Bill was always nice to me. Never, So it was like, don't do that. He's like, yeah, you're right. They do. They spend all afternoon figuring out. I was like, yes, thank God. They would have ate him alive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Remember that guy that was the afternoon local talk show host on IBX that tried to fight back to him? Phil something?
Yeah, I do. I can't remember his last name, but yes, I do.
And you know what? I don't want to embarrass anybody. I don't know where the guy is now, so yeah. I do remember his last name, but they had people on his front porch. They were just. That's why, like they were a pack of wild jackals of comedy, mm-hmm. And you just were like, look, unless you got all the firepower in the world, which wasn't there, do not engage. Because they'll have us all for breakfast.
Yeah. Keeler was a general in the radio wars.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He was like a 5-star general.
He was. And I'll give him credit for that. But you know what? It was really interesting. Yeah. You know? So, anyways, one other thing you said, because I know it's been about an hour now. We're going to try and wrap up. But
we could do whatever we want.
The perks, like they take away the perks.
Yeah.
The last company I worked for before this one put out a memo one time. First of all, he said, we're down with remote. So instead of 100, you're going to make 75. I was like, what are you cutting the money for? We still got to, you know. And
that was such a great perk, too.
Yeah.
Because it put extra money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Money that you're missing from the salary they're supposed to be giving you.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I had been setting up remotes at the time like 19 years, and there was a 25-year-old girl from Syracuse that came down, and you know the Fender Passport PAs?
Yeah.
This is funny. They come with a cabinet in the back for all the cords, so you don't lose the cords, the 2 speaker cords, the mic cord, and the power plug. Somebody lost a cord out in Syracuse, and so the girl's like, I bought these Tupperwares, which first of all are not going to last for shit when they freeze in the winter, and the cords go in here, and she's knittering at me. The cords go in here, and then these go in the bigger box, and then it's like, oh, no, Larissa or whatever her name is, honey, right in the back of the PA system, it's a suitcase unit. There's this, and all the cords go in there, and then you close it, and they're in there because the speakers clip over them so they don't. No. The cords go in here so no one forgets the cords, and they don't get. It's like, no, you're taking them out of the PA system and you're putting them in another box. That's how they get. You know what I mean? She wouldn't listen to me. So that was another thing that really pissed me off. But one of the other main things, besides I was making like $20,000 a year after 20 years,
right?
Yeah, was they actually said at the end of a remote, if there's gift certificates or if there's any giveaways, and the giveaways were not $100,000 prizes, or it was just tchotchkes and shit.
Yeah.
You're to bring those back, because if you don't, it's stealing. We're going to consider stealing. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? What are you talking? You know, first of all, who wants any of this stuff?
Yeah, it's a $25 gift certificate.
Yeah, it's a $25 gift certificate to Carmela's. it never was there at the end. Second of all, how many koozies can I use? And one time they told the lady who was our office manager, we had an event coming. She said, oh, there's T-shirts in the back room. Take one of the shirts, but then wash it and put it back. And I was like, okay. And then soon after, God bless his soul, Frank McBride died, and Tom started talking to me, and it was like, all right, let's go. Get out of here. Can you imagine that? You know? Don't take that Bud Light Frisbee or you're stealing. You get out.
Are you kidding me?
You want crack?
Are you kidding me?
You know, when they said that, I immediately went down the hall and found old prices and stole.
Yeah.
That was really stealing.
Take them all.
You.
Take every T-shirt in the house.
Yeah. There was shit that was left over from Keeler's days at Rock 107 in this cupboard. I took something out of there.
Rock 107.
Suck it. You want to talk about stealing? Nah, I just stole from you.
You went to the Rock 107 prize vault.
Yeah, there was way in the back on the shelf. There was some shit that was obviously left over from then.
Yeah.
Get out of here. These companies are nuts. You know?
Left over from the Mark Montgomery days.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. Midnight Bowl at Panorama with the captain.
Remember that Rockin' Bowl?
Oh, God, yeah.
That was some shit, too.
That was the place where, and I just saw him this summer, and he brought it back up. Turns out he knows Diane well, too, from college. Then I drank a lot of Montezuma tequila and tried to Fred Flintstone it down the alley and slide it to the pins with the ball. And he was there DJing that night. Well, we got thrown out. Those fellows were very upset.
Wait, we got to back up on this story. You got so drunk that you threw yourself down the bowling alley?
Yep. I was probably 21,
okay.
20 or 21. It was during that era when, you know, it was between when the drinking ages were going up. And so we were at Panorama, summertime, or, you know, and he was doing Rock and Bowl, and we were bowling, and I was just trying to be the class clown as usual. You know, this is well before radio. And I was like drunk on Montezuma well tequila. So I drank a bunch of paint thinner. And rubbing oil was in there too, I think. And so I'm going to Fred Flintstone this. And I did that. I ran, but I acted like the ball was stuck on my hand, and I ran almost all the way down and then let it go, slid across the thing. Well, I didn't know that I was so far down that the thing almost came down and hit me, and the guy jumped over the counter, but then had to jump back and hit the button to make it go back up. They threw us out. Literally, I had no shoes on when we were outside. Threw us right out. Shoes came whipping out the door after us. A whole bunch of us. The Williams brothers, my girlfriend, my cousins. There was like 8 of us. They threw us all right out. But Mark Montgomery was set up right there at the top of our alley, and he watched the whole thing. 35 years later, he still talks about it. I just saw him this summer. I was like, hey, how you doing, man? And we're talking, and he's like, oh, hey, Diane's here, because we had met up in. He goes, oh yeah, did I ever tell you about him at the bowling alley? And it was like, oh, here we go.
If only we had social media back then.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
Can we recreate that moment?
No.
Oh, damn it.
Because you do not slide down bowling alleys. That shit is where the ball slides, but human beings, it hurts.
You get stuck.
Oh, fuck yeah, you get stuck. I am so thankful that those guys didn't just pound the shit out of me, because would have been asking for it.
Nowadays, they probably would have.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
And, and all these years later, I apologize for that. But at the time, it was like,
sliding across Madison Square Garden basketball floor.
Yeah, come on, man. We'll Fred Flintstone this. I'm smart.
Have you drinking tequila since?
I don't drink much tequila, man, but during the Devereaux days, me and Luke Kaler used to knock it down.
Yeah.
Ugh. I love that guy, but ugh. So, no, I don't do a lot of tequila, but you did it at the leaving benefit, I heard.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
We got torn up a little bit. That was a great time.
It was
great
so
job,
great.
by the way.
Yep.
And everybody who Jerry put that all together.
Jerry, yeah.
He did a great job.
Oh, man. But, yeah, it's just, it's been a whirlwind. And, we could talk for like another 6 hours here.
Mm-hmm. Do you got to go stop your voice track?
You know what? I got to like 5:30 done.
We ain't going to 5:30, but I got a bladder.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, too, it's like that. Nobody will say, oh, I voice tracked and left. But I did. A kid got mad at me 2 weeks ago because I had an abscess under my tooth. I went home sick, and he asked me if I could play a song by our buddy Tony. And I said, I can't today. And he got mad. I was like, no, I didn't want to try and explain because my head was spinning. I'm not there, man. Every station has that. Now, I'm there a lot. I'm there every day. But when I got a chance to do it, I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
It's 30 years this spring, bro. I don't know any more time. I've done all that. You know what I'm saying? I paid my dues over and over and over again.
You're like the Brother Weeze of Utica.
Oh, God. That's actually a nice compliment. Thank you.
You are. He's still doing it, too. Brother Weeze out of Rochester. Still doing it.
I spent the night in Oneida County Jail with Hersh and Nelson because we lost a bet when the Devils lost to the Rochester Americans between Hersh and Nelson and Brother Weeze.
Really?
Loser had to spend the night in county jail. And this is another great Nelson one.
Wait, the Devils and the Amherst are playing each other. Was it a playoff?
It was a playoff
series?
game.
Okay.
And
so they called the Cup championship?
Yeah, it might not even have been the championship. It might have been on the road to it. Devils lost. Gotcha. So we held up our end of the bet. We did it all night. And that was funny because they stayed up all night and broadcasted till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
From the jail?
From the jail. And then took a couple hours nap and then woke up and did their show. And at one point, they were giving us a tour. Now, those guys got red uniforms, which were the trustee inmates. I was like a foot taller than both of them, so I had orange, which was like the new guy uniform at the time. And it was like tight because I'm like an ape, a dope. And so we're walking around, and I noticed some of the guys, not knowing the color scheme situation, in yellow or red, especially the red, could roll their top down and just have, their T-shirt on and have it on like pants. So I did that, and another guy in orange fucking went berserk. What the fuck are they doing? And I was like, oh, shit. So then the guard quickly explained, they're not real inmates. They're a radio station here. And then he explained to me, you're in orange. You don't have, by prison rules, you have no rights or any of that stuff. So you got to put that up because the other guys might not be as understanding as this young man, who now was laughing at us. You dumb motherfucker, you don't know shit. They're like, okay, all right, yeah. So, but as this is going on, as he's mad first, it's not been explained. Nelson goes, what? I said, I don't know. I rolled it down because the other guys had it down. And Nelson goes, nice job. Try to fit in. And it was just like the perfect night. He was like, nice job. Try and fit in.
So you spent the night in county jail?
We spent the night in county jail broadcasting, yeah.
Did Brother Weiss check in at any moment afterwards?
Yeah, they called in. They were they were going to the station.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the signal was shitty because there was fences all around it. So at the time, it was Marty. It wasn't Skype. It wasn't any. It was a radio signal. So it was like crackling bacon in the back. And they talked to Weeze and stuff like that. But he's a legend, that guy.
Oh, for sure.
Brother Weeze is a legend.
For sure.
Yeah.
He started, he was Anthony's mentor. Anthony, Opie and Anthony.
Really?
Yeah. Because Opie went to Genesee Joe. An intern for Brother Weiss.
Wow.
And then he started working for him as his producer and whatnot, and then went on to Boston and met Anthony and became Opie and Anthony. And
now, you see, like, in CMF was like the OUR of Western New York
exactly.
at the time.
Yep.
Back in the day, they were the coolest station in the world, too.
96.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Shout out to Helen Tenuta. Happy Thanksgiving, Helen. Helen's checking in from Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Chi-Town.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. If you are watching on Facebook, if you could do us a favor, click the share button. Help spread the word of Slug playing this Friday, Black Friday, the return of Slug at 12 North, right?
Yep, 12 North. Listen, now, Ashley's going on at 7. Deadbolts.
Okay.
Now, we did this on purpose because, once again, we're old bastards. No, we adapted. We didn't want to do the thing where we start having a good time and then the middle act goes on real long and we go on at 10:30 and then, by 12:30, it's like 6 guys, just hanging out.
Yeah.
So we're going to put them on at 7. Deadbolts, I think, go on about 7:40. And we're going to take the stage at like 9 o'clock because it's been 2 years. And quite honestly, I'm not, God's honest truth, people have been asking us, when are you going to play? When are you going to play? When we played that little festival out in the woods, a lot of people didn't see it. They were a little pissy. So here's the show. But we're going to go on at like 9 o'clock so that we play the whole show for them. And we've got a bunch of stuff from the first record, I think all of it, a lot of the second record, and then we've got a few of the like dead things that we do that have always been popular, and a couple other surprises.
Cool.
That go back all the way to the beginning.
That's exciting. Do we expect more Slug shows after this?
Boy, I hope so.
Just focus on one show at a time?
Focus on one show at a time. Mm-hmm. But, Fletch is a complicated guy because he is a dude who is creative when he works. So, therefore, you can't put him on a schedule. Mm-hmm. And, people call up and want commission. You don't realize it. But he's literally a living, working artist. And so, he gets people calling for commissions. He might get 4 calls in 1 week. So he's got a lot to do. And they bought land up there. So, he's a big boy now.
Yeah, he's busy.
And Chris lives down in Albany.
Mm-hmm.
And, Bob's retired. Bob can play every night if he wants to.
Nice.
The interesting thing that might be on the horizon for him. And I'm hoping I can glom onto it because I would love to start another band. I would love to get a second group going. Something simple. Because I'm not technically good. Fuck that. I think I'm great.
You're not a musician. You're an entertainer.
Yeah, well, you know what, though? I think I'm a great harmonica player, but I'm not.
You can play, bro. Everybody has you up and jams with. I jam with everybody.
But I'm not a blues guy. You know what I mean? I'm not a country guy.
You're Joe.
Yeah, I have always adapted my style to the Slug stuff and then the Thunderwatch stuff, and having Jim Inman, who was a musical genius there, who could say, oh, the piano is actually doing this, listen, and then that's what I was listening to. There was no harmonica and say this Allman song or this Skynyrd song or this Floyd song, but listen to what the keyboard's doing, and we would work together to find the right place to start and then emulate that. So it only went further.
Yeah.
But,
You feel Jim made you a better player?
I feel Jim made me a better player and a better singer and everything.
Yeah.
I honestly miss that guy.
Yeah.
But he's working his ass off down in Florida.
He's a genius.
He is.
He really is. He's a genius. Nice, Joe. This Friday, go check out Slug at 12 North. The return of Slug. It should be a great time. It's always a great time when Slug gets together. So it starts off at about 7 o'clock. How much to get in? $5. $5. See?
And go.
It's still $5. It's still $5. It's only $5.
Yeah.
That's what drives me crazy. We've talked about this before, but I'll bring it up real quick. It's only $5.
Yeah. 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and now.
Yeah, you're going to see a band. It's only $5.
Yep.
That's it.
And
it goes right to the band.
Yeah. And you know what? I got to give
It's only $5.
Yeah. A shout out to Doug from 12 North. Thank you.
Good people.
He really is a cool guy. He does his best to support. And the first time we went up there, he was not expecting that. And we had like 348 people through the door.
Insane.
And a lady who had worked there in the past was just there as a patron, jumped behind the bar. And when he walked in, he was like, what the hell is this? Because the girls both back there were like, serve 10 bars. He's like, okay. And so then he loved us. And he's an easy guy to work with. And I want to thank Mindy because she really does give me.
Shout out, Mindy.
Shout out to Mindy in the drive because you know what? She allows me to run those spots and they are part of my compensation. But, she'll do it as an in-kind sponsorship too.
It's awesome.
Because we support local music and she is behind me on stuff like that.
And you people should be supporting the drive too. You can find them online too. So if you don't even live in the Utica area, you can listen to them wherever the hell you are. Just go to 927thedrive.net.
Yep. Facebook.com/927 and drive. Tune in, Alexa, on all that stuff. We take requests and actually play them. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is, you know what? We wanted to have a good PA system and light setup, so we got with Roscoe. And although, the bar is cool, they're going to chip in with us because, we have a big night and they know we got to have good stuff. So between the bar and our buddy Adam Ellis up at Ellis Family Chiropractic, who's my chiropractor, he said, I'm going to chip in towards your PA and your production. So he's another sponsor. So thank you. He's another guy who's cool and supports Blues Society stuff.
Oh, cool.
And he supported this. And I was really surprised he did because, it's me going, hey, we're playing a gig. You want to give me money? And he was, but he's a very in-tune guy and a very cool guy. And honestly, one of the best chiropractors in town. If he can straighten me out, I feel 1.5 inches taller when I leave there. So
wow.
So there you go. Ellis Family Chiropractic.
Awesome. You got to get those sponsors.
You got it, man.
You do. You got to help defer the costs a little bit.
And Roscoe,
production's not cheap. It's not.
It's not. You can't have
chintzy.
You can't have chintzy stuff, and it's got to look like something too. If you're going to do something like this once a year, the big deal factor must be put into play, and that also includes on how it looks. And thank you, Roscoe, for doing what you do. Roscoe, if we do a Central New York Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's going in, man.
He is.
Thank you so much because it's going to sound like $1 million.
Right on.
So
shout out, Roscoe. We love you, Roscoe. Oh, before we get out of here, happy early birthday, too.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sunday, the 28th.
Sunday, the 28th.
Yeah.
What else you got planned this weekend? Tomorrow being the holiday, Thanksgiving, but do you have any other plans other than the show on Friday?
You know what? We are taking it easy tomorrow. Show on Friday. I'm taking it easy Friday during the day. And then Saturday will be a complete wash because, 108. So actually standing up for, 3 hours and playing a wind instrument is going to kill me. And then Sunday will be a lot of pretending I'm doing stuff that really I'm not because I don't have the energy 2 days after the fact.
Gotcha, yeah.
So there you go.
It takes a couple days to recoup.
But I don't know. We might go to dinner. It's 54. You know what I mean? It's not like a milestone birthday, and we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, 54 is a milestone birthday, bro.
Yeah,
knowing you when I knew you, it's a milestone birthday.
They all are.
Joe, a lot of love, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you taking the time and talking all the good things.
Thank you for the Uncle Louie guys.
Cool.
I want to make sure I tell you that. And to Carlo and, oh, my God, those guys, thank you so much. First of all, they were hilarious at the Stanley. Every time I played the drop they did.
They did a drop for you?
Off-the-cuff drop or it started out with, he says, I want me to drive. I can't drive. I can't see. And then he's going, I don't even like the guy. Uncle Louis says, look at him. He don't even dress up. I look good.
Oh, I got to hear it.
Oh, my God. My man goes, he looks like he's from 1970. I don't know, but he's standing right there. Oh, that's him. Hey. I'll play it for you tonight, man.
I'd love to hear it.
Every time I play it, somebody contacts me about it.
Uh-huh.
And they're just the coolest guys, man.
They are.
They have carte blanche to come back up.
Oh, good. They would love that.
God, yeah.
And speaking of Uncle Louie, we just dropped a podcast, Hold the Sarcasm, just dropped today. So if you want to check out the latest episode of Hold the Sarcasm, features Lou and Carlo from the Uncle Louie Variety Show and yours truly. You could go to Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the latest episode of Hold the Sarcasm. We had a good chat. We talked about Thanksgiving. We gave our football picks, too, of the 3 games for tomorrow. Do you watch football tomorrow?
I do, but you know what? I've never been a guy who follows football.
Yeah, women
in town are bigger football fans than me.
Yeah.
I know the
guy.
Lions aren't doing shit.
Yeah.
Of historically not doing shit.
They're 0-9.
God damn.
0-9-1 to be exact.
I feel bad for them.
Yeah. You have to.
Come on.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you have a safe holiday. And if you are drinking, make sure you get yourself an Uber or a cab ride and play it safe, people. We want to see you out there having a good holiday season. Shout out to EJA Moving Services, Joey's at 307, Utica Coffee, Dave Longaretta, my attorney, Saranac Brewery, Billy the Liquor Guy, Under Too Long. Did you read the book?
I read the book in 2 days, man.
You did?
I love Billy.
How about the time when he stripped naked and ran in front of the tractor trailer, buck naked across the road in the middle of winter, just to get in there and infiltrate like the untaxed cigarette guy? Yeah. It's a crazy story.
And God, I told him when I remembered him from before that all started. And you know what? Even before that, he was undercover because he would come in, he'd be making jokes. My buddy Ralph and him were buddies, and that's how I got to meet him. And then they had coaches. We'd go down there. But, you never knew he had done any investigation stuff at a local level. He was like this have a good time all the time kind of guy.
Still is.
Yeah. And he kept that going. That's why everybody liked him so much. Kingpins and tax evaders and
biker gangs.
That's why he won everybody over, because he was such a lovable dude. And now he texts me every now and again just out of the blue. It's like, thanks, Billy. I really like that. He said he's working on a second book.
Yeah, he is. Working on a second book.
God, man, he was such an interesting guy.
Yeah.
The next guy I got to meet through you is Danny Nappy. I'm still a little afraid of him.
We're doing season 2.
How old is he now?
We're doing season 2. Danny's 79.
He's still frightening.
Yeah.
He's
We're doing a season 2. It should be out probably after the new year. We're gonna start recording really soon with that.
Very cool, though.
Yeah.
The way that whole thing that he did, just very blatant, like, here's what happened, and this was what I did. But it's so interesting to hear the opposite end of things.
Yeah. So what we're going to do with season 2, instead of doing a timeline, because last season was more of on a timeline type of thing, this season is going to be more on actual topics.
You know what? Being an Italian whose family had businesses, I'm kind of I don't want to be like, hey, your grandfather owes me $100 still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, shit.
Or you should shake down one of your cousins or something.
Yeah. I used to have to go put your dad's head in the toilet. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Him and I have turned into friends. We're good friends now. And I talked to him yesterday, and he'll drop a story on me. I'm like, why didn't you mention that in the podcast? Oh, I got more stories. He forgets a lot of this stuff. But with that, the first season, we went through his FBI files. A lot of that was taken from the FBI files.
Wow.
And they were, Joe, what I'm telling you, I've seen dictionaries less thick than his FBI files.
Man.
Yeah. That's crazy.
When he said he worked for the city for a while, I do remember meeting him, because that's when my old man was booking Hannah Park.
Oh, yeah?
And I remember the guy being around there, because I remember all those guys, like, by first name, because I always thought it was so cool that my dad knew all these city guys. And it was like, oh, shit, I think I did run across him, man. But, God, the old man made clothes for all the Gumads.
Did he?
That's why he was safe. Because he kept his mouth shut.
Because he kept his mouth shut.
Wait on the wife at 5 o'clock and the gumad at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, that's
one
it.
or the other.
Yep.
You gotta love Utica, man.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta love Utica. Joe, happy Thanksgiving. Happy early birthday. Have a great time this Friday. Go check out Slug at 12 North Sports Bar this Friday. Starts at 7 o'clock. Support your local music, people. Happy Thanksgiving to all. See you later.